It's the ultimate travel guide from the people who know it best. Weekends with Yankee. We're stopping off in Gray, Maine to visit the Maine Wildlife Park. It's a sanctuary for injured and orphaned wildlife that can't survive in the wild. It's home to 30 native wildlife species: moose, deer, bear, wildcats, and porcupine, just to name a few.
They're not viable for release. And so while they're here in captivity, they serve as ambassadors for their species, educating our over 100,000 visitors a year that come in to see them. Maine has quite a wildlife offering, ranging from the massive moose down to our small rodent friends like mice and squirrels. And they're all showcased here at the department. And it's important that our visitors see how each of these species fit into the ecosystem and the role that they play here in Maine and beyond. Whenever we can, we try to mimic natural habitat components that those species might be associated with, whether we're talking flying squirrels or for the moose.
The park finds moose are particularly difficult to keep in captivity.
A large moose could be 1,000 pounds. They can stand 7 to 9 feet tall at the top of the antlers. That's a force to be reckoned with if you should meet one on a roadway or if you're standing close to one. Despite their size, moose are generally not considered to be dangerous or aggressive.
Part of the challenge of caring for these large, beautiful animals is they consume a lot. An average of 50 pounds or more of browse a day.
Browse is the vegetation that they eat in the wild, the leaves, the barks, the buds of young hardwood growth. To produce that much browse for our moose here in captivity is just a never-ending task. A lot of animals have amazing adaptations for, extracting what they need from their food. A moose being able to spin a twig around to strip the bark off, or a raccoon playing with its food in the water, or a beaver doing the same thing, kind of spinning a stick around to strip all the bark. These are all examples of what our wildlife are capable of.
Each of the park's animals has a story. Many were injured or orphaned, and others were rescued from human-dependent situations. None can be returned to the wild, but at Maine Wildlife Park, they can live safely in their natural habitat and get the extra care they need.
All of our moose here at the park were raised as orphan moose. They were taken in from the wild because their mother was no longer in the picture. In the process of providing all that care and raising a young moose, there's some level of imprinting or habituation that takes place. They're no longer afraid of people like a wild moose would be. Therefore, they're apt to show up along the roadways and people's backyards as a nuisance animal that's likely not going to make it.
With such a close-up view of so many different species, visitors develop an intimate appreciation for all the wildlife here. But according to Kurt, the moose are the stars of the show.
I am amazed how many people come from all over the globe to the Maine Wildlife Park to see a moose. I mean, that is our flagship species. Despite the fact that we have over 30 species here, including bears and deer and mountain lions and lynx and bobcats and many others.
If you're one of the many people who want to catch a glimpse of a moose or other Maine wildlife, you now know where you'll be sure to find some.